Every single time you open a website, send an email, stream a video, or hook up to cloud infrastructure, there is a foundational system working tirelessly behind the scenes to make it all possible. Without it, the global internet as we know it simply wouldn't exist. So today, we're jumping right into this explainer on IP addressing and the massive ongoing transition from IPv4 to IPv6. Here's our roadmap. We're going to kick things off with 1. The digital postal system, then move into 2. Understanding IPv4 architecture. After that, we'll tackle 3. The address exhaustion crisis, unpack 4. Enter IPv6, and finally wrap it all up with 5. The big picture. All right, Section 1, the digital postal system, and how we route the data. To really grasp networking, we need a mental model of how networks actually locate devices. Think about sending a physical letter. To guarantee it arrives, you absolutely need a recipient name, a street, a city, and a postal code. Without that specific address, the postal system is literally flying blind. Well, computer networks work exactly the same way. When your laptop wants to access a service, it sends out a request, but that request needs a specific destination. Without a specific digital address, neither physical mail nor digital requests have any clue where to go. So, what is that digital address? It's an IP address, and it acts as the fundamental digital identity for absolutely any connected device. IP stands for Internet Protocol, and the address serves as a unique numerical identifier. It's the magic that allows laptops, cloud servers, smart TVs, and your smartphone to identify each other and exchange data securely. Without this identity, devices just can't locate one another on the internet. Moving right along to Section 2, Understanding IPv4 Architecture, the original standard. The classic IP addresses you're probably familiar with, ones like 192.168.1.10, operate on a 32-bit system. The address is divided into 4 numerical sections called octets, separated by dots. Now, because computers think in binary, each of those 4 sections consists of exactly 8 bits. And 8 binary digits give us exactly 256 possible combinations. So mathematically, the values have to range from 0 to 255. It's honestly a beautifully logical system once you see the math behind it. But here's the catch. That 32-bit mathematical structure created a hard cap. 2 to the power of 32 gives us roughly 4.3 billion total possible IPv4 addresses. Now, back during the early days of the internet, 4.3 billion seemed like an impossibly huge number. I mean, who could ever need that many internet addresses, right? Well, keep this number in the back of your mind because it's going to cause some serious drama very shortly. Before we get to that drama, though, it is super vital to distinguish between the 2 distinct categories of these addresses. First, we have public IP addresses. These are internet-facing and globally reachable. They're what public web servers use to talk to the rest of the world. Then, on the flip side, we have private IP addresses. These are used exclusively inside local environments, like your home Wi-Fi, an office network, or private cloud infrastructure. Private IPs are strictly internal. They're not directly accessible from the outside world. Which brings us to Section 3, the address exhaustion crisis, or running out of IPs. This was the crazy turning point where the modern internet completely outgrew its original design. Think about it. When IPv4 was conceived, there were no smartphones, no cloud virtual machines, no smart TVs, IoT devices, connected cars, or industrial sensors. The internet just grew explosively. Today, with billions of people using multiple connected devices all at the exact same time, that massive pool of 4.3 billion addresses, it was completely drained. We literally ran out of internet addresses. So how did the whole system not just break? To delay a total exhaustion of addresses, engineers introduced network address translation, or NAT, as a really clever stopgap. It temporarily masks an entire local network, like all the phones, laptops, and tablets in your house, behind just one single public IP address. It's essentially address sharing. NAT bought the industry time and delayed the crisis for sure, but because it complicates how devices communicate, it was never meant to be a permanent fix. All right, time for the hero of our story in Section 4, Enter IPv6, the modern solution. Comparing these 2 architectures side by side reveals a massive upgrade that was designed from the ground up for modern connectivity. We've got classic IPv4 with its 32-bit decimal format, and then we have IPv6. IPv6 is a massive 128-bit system. Now, because a 128-bit address would be ridiculously long to write out using standard decimal numbers, IPv6 relies on hexadecimal notation. That means it combines numbers 0 through 9 and letters A through F just to make managing the length practical. So, how many addresses does this 128-bit system actually give us? Get ready for this. 340 undecillion. That is a 340 followed by 36 zeros. It is a mind-boggling scale. This permanently solves the address shortage. We now have enough IP addresses for essentially every conceivable smart device, cloud server, and IoT sensor for the foreseeable future, making global networks cleaner and way more scalable. Now, you might be wondering, if IPv6 is so obviously superior, why hasn't IPv4 just disappeared overnight? Well, replacing the entire global internet infrastructure takes time, and the internet relies super heavily on legacy equipment. The clever solution here is dual-stack networking. Modern systems are designed to support both IPv4 and IPv6 simultaneously. This maintains compatibility during this massive transition period, allowing the whole world to migrate gradually and seamlessly without breaking existing internet communications. Let's zoom out a bit for Section 5, the big picture, connecting it all. Let's actually track a single click. Step 1, you open a website. Step 2, the DNS system resolves that domain name into an IP address. Step 3, routers all across the world use that IP address to forward your data packets through the network. And finally, Step 4, the destination server returns the response directly to your device. IP addresses act as the invisible backbone of absolutely every single digital interaction you have. And this brings us to this so what? Why does this matter for you? Understanding IP addressing isn't just neat trivia. It is the absolute foundation for some of the fastest growing tech careers out there. Whether you're aiming for cloud engineering, network engineering, cybersecurity, DevOps, infrastructure architecture, or systems engineering, you will rely on this knowledge daily. Security teams tracking malicious traffic, or cloud architects planning secure private networks, they depend entirely on correct IP design. It's a total must-have skill. So we've seen how IP addresses connect us globally across the internet. But it leaves us with a fascinating final question. If IP addresses get data to the right general network, how do specific devices physically identify each other once they are on the exact same local network? Like when the data reaches your home router, how does it know to go to your phone and not your smart TV? That specific local identification, the MAC address, well, that's the next great networking mystery for us to explore.